The new ESL regionals with no downtime, ladies and gentlemen. We get straight from game to game. None of this silly talking desk segment business. Up in the top right side, or top left side of the map, in the red, it's Coffee.
Bottom right, Blue Protoss player teammates, and he has been already having a wild series earlier today. He fought back from 0-2 against Lemon. It is Nanami.
The Lemon Slayer, the hype rides with you now, Nanami. You can't just go out now, okay? You gotta deliver. Lemon looked so fantastic. I really wanted to see Lemon versus Coffee. I thought that would have been a very interesting match. I think, you know, Lemon showed such good defensive macro, would have been the favorite, but Coffee is someone to never underestimate. He's got that range of timings. Is he gonna hit you at 5.5 minutes, 7 minutes, 3.5 minutes? Which one will it be? There's so many different attacks that he can do, and at any moment there could be 20 dudes with drills in their hands joining that assault.
That's very true. It would have been cool to see Lemon actually, because Lemon was so good at surviving on a knife's edge, but against Coffee that might just be like with 4 probes left. So we could have been in it for some wild games. I still think we are going to be in with some wild games here, of course. As yeah, who can punch each other harder first? It's a great question, and it really is a heck of a set of stars to see go up against one another here in this lower bracket semi for the Asia region.
Mass Zealot is an option. It's very good against the very fast variations that Coffee goes for if he doesn't realize what you're doing. Problem is, Coffee's builds are quite flexible. If he does realize that you're doing that, he will just not attack, build up a higher number of Marines and Marauders to the point where they can, you know, stutter step in a giant ball, and Zealots aren't very effective. So there is a, you know, whether it's Phoenix Zealot or Mass Stalker Zealot style on low gas, those are options. But it's a bit of a dice roll in terms of anticipating, you know, hey, is he going for the super fast push this time? Or is he gearing up for a bit later with Medivacs and the whole works where the Zealots fall off? So far, every Protoss opponent Coffee's played has said, nah, just take a third and try to get Colossus and then try to go for the Zealots only after that. And we often see basically their third's dead and all their stalkers are gone and charge kicks in, right? Like that's most of the games we see. They're like, I have 3 zealots now with charge, and you're like, it's a bit too late. The techs have already done their work. But we'll see what happens. It's a quick 3cc for Coffee. He is going for the economic build. This is the one that he has tried previously, and it looked kind of odd. He did it on this map against Cyan, I believe it was, but I think he did 2 Cyclones, and then he did that giant 3-base tank push. He was way behind in that game, but he found a way to make it work. We'll see what he can pull out this time around.
Yeah, well, we're going to have first Hellions popping, and we are now going to have the hallucination to do some scouting. Scouting is going to be so important throughout the course of this series, as we just have hallucination checking in, seeing what's up, glance into racks and so on, all building, nothing too crazy, as the, again, hallucination gets to spot that. It is just that CC out in the corner. That is going to be the surprise factor and the hallucination. Well.
Oh, the Hellions running in as well right now. The hallucination gets F2'd home. This is actually, these Hellions are doing so much work, even outside of the probe kills. It's just pulling the hallucination back before it sees the 3 command center. Nanami should realize there's a 3rd command center from the timings, but I feel like in the heat of the moment, the pressure of game 1, you're not necessarily fully tuned in. Do you realize what's happening is the question, and he's not going to have another hallucination to confirm this for a very long time.
That's actually wild. I mean, what a curveball to pull as Coffee. You drop a super fast 3rd CC, and then to get away with it, like not being seen as, you know, and maybe kind of having your opponent kind of guesstimating what's going on, because he's the worst player to kind of miss scout against, because you're always wondering what exactly is coming. So big deal. As we do have Blink finishing from Nanami. He is just going to a 3rd base though. Just a good sign. And those few stalkers will take to the map as well to create some map control here. With that Blink, they will be very safe. So we'll see them out and about in the next few moments.
Engineering bay is on the way, as well as that 3rd barracks. We do expect to see a starport coming in sometime in the next few seconds when Coffee gets the money for it. And the robo does start. Looks like it's probably going to be, you know, this heavy Blink sort of setup, right? You've got the gateways, you're in a pretty good spot, but that's defensive. And now you try to rush towards the Colossus to get to that next step.
Yeah, you get to those Colossi ASAP from here, and and just try and get your splash damage up to deal with that Bioforce that will be coming. Hallucination coming through again, looking to just confirm what's in that main base, look for tech timings and so on and so forth. The starport halfway done from Coffee is something you can pick up on, right, so you get an idea of when medevacs would be out on the map, and you now know for sure exactly what Coffee is up to, you know what's going on, and now you can make plays around that, as that Marine will get rid of a probe here, so nice single Marine just spotting the third base and gets a probe kill on top of it all.
Starport's finishing as the Robo base starts, so first medevacs are going to kind of arrive around the same time the first Colossus is on the field. Fourth and fifth barracks goes down, and it is a tech lab on the factory. Coffee wants to go for siege tanks again. So he's only got 2 so far since he stopped to build that reactor. It's not going to be like a crazy heavy tank count. It's going to be more of a classic mass bio. But yeah, I'm curious to see, because does he just wait till he's got 2-2? Does he wait for all that stuff? Because he doesn't have the double engineering bait this time off the 3 command center. It feels like a different build to what he used against Cyan, and kind of feels like he's just going to push at some point in the next minute and a half at the most. I feel like he's looking to really try and kill Nanami. I'd say about 8 minutes. It would be my guess that's when his army's kind of sieged up at Nanami's base, bio running in and all that sort of stuff.
8 minutes is like the magic number, the magic timing for Coffee. Whatever he does, unless it's a slightly earlier variation, it feels like 8 minutes is always, at the very least, a good guesstimate. As the double medevac comes around the bottom side, fourth coming up from Nanami, that is obviously a risky one. And if you have the, well, medevac's going to come through, the 1-1 finishing up from Coffee as well. Oh, sorry, not 1-1, just +1. Finishing up from Coffee. He's going to come in, cancel his fourth pretty much immediately. There's not enough units to come across and defend this just yet, so that's an easy cancel. Going to get some pylons as we go, and that's going to supply block Nanami. And he does not have a replacement pylon on the way yet, so it's going to be a serious supply block as well. We're going to be stuck at 100-ish supply for a moment. He's got 2 supply free, but yeah, still no pylon on the way.
That's an unreasonable amount of damage for you know, just a little poke 2 medevacs get in there. That's way more than he was expecting, I think. So fourth Nexus is to get rebuilt. I mean, Coffee's built all the workers. I think no, he queues more workers. Interesting. Yeah, he's what was going on there? He wasn't thinking about pulling those. Oh, he was going to take the front base, but he changed his mind. Interesting. Okay. So he transferred his workers to the front command center, then said, wait, why am I doing that? Let's just take the normal third. Libs are building. This is that Coffee we know and love. Tanks, libs, bio. He's even building a bunker to help defend behind it, but his push is going to be scary.
It really, really is. The libs and the tanks, such a powerful siege combination. Once those units are in position, it's so hard to take a fight into them, as the couple Vikings here try to deflect the hallucination. Hallucination will get through for the moment. Missile turret finishes off. That's nice. Really nice if you can stop him kind of spotting the libs and so on, right, which would be an indicator as to what exactly is about to happen. So, yeah, Coffee doing a good job there. The tanks on siege, the first libs are popping, and it is time to make a move across the map. We are heading to the bottom right, and we are looking to see if we can siege Nanami into a terrible position in this game number 1.
2 Colossus, 12 Stalkers, 11 Zealots, and a single Sentry. It's not a large army for Protoss. It's massively outnumbered, but it's reinforcing quickly. There's 10 gateways, and I love this move. Not fighting front on. That's what you want to do. Coffee wants to fight right here, right now. You want to delay him. You want to buy time. Slow him down. Slow him down if you can. Stalkers do take out a Liberator. He's not blinking back, though. Oh, gosh. A lot of the Stalkers are going down. He's going to have to battery overcharge. Zealots coming in nicely. Wow, those Zealots actually cleared quite a few Marauders. He has to give up the front. Zealots counterattack, but unfortunately, they are mostly running into depots. Would have been much better if that hit the natural and overwhelmed the rally, but the Warlocks of Coffee are well prepared.
That's really nice to turn that around, as now Nanami just lost a bunch of units, and well, obviously he got rid of 1 lib, but that's pretty much all the splash he has stopped, or all the siege that he stopped thus far. Tank's going to get sieged again. He has the Zealots are going to start running in. The Marines sit in the back. The Marauders take a lot of the damage initially. It is a good jump, though. The Zealots do last a long time. Most of the tanks going down. 1 Colossus falls, the other 2 alive. Super Battery trying to try and keep them alive. It's so close on that other Colossus, but it will be back to the overcharged battery, so for the moment it will just be okay. We are going to be fine right there. There's the +2 attack finishing in a moment from Nanami. Another bonus for him, but Coffee is up double the army supply. I don't think he's got any chill on his mind at all. The battery's going to fall, so you're not going to have that for future fights, even if overcharge comes back off cooldown, as the Liberator stays sieged.
I love the organization. The way Coffee always has Marauders in front, then the tanks, and then the Marines in the back. The Marauders are there to tank, the tanks have got long range, and the Marines are there to clear the Zealots. You see they stim on the Zealots, and then they pull away from the Colossus. Well, actually, he feels like he can click on the Colossus. A dangerous move, but he's got the numbers, and it looks like it pays off against the first Colossus, and even there against the second. Loses a lot of Marines for it, but he's got a massive advantage, and Coffee, brutal, aggressive pushes. Even when he's on 3 base, it still has this like power and urgency about it that just feels so hard to stop. And great greedy opening. That's what I said about the range of Coffee. When's he going to hit you? And that one was even later than I expected, getting across that map. Is he going to try and kill you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anywhere in between? It's very hard to gauge, and this is why these Protoss players are struggling to kind of get their eye on exactly what's coming their way and prepare for it.
You never know. It just hits at so many different times. Playing, trying to figure that out is never easy as you get ready for game number 2. Coffee strikes first in the best of 5, looking to make top 3 in the region. And at this point, Coffee is looking as though if he gets through Nanami, his DVP is obviously looking good. He would be playing nice in that lower bracket final. He could go all the way to the finals. Only then he's got Oliveira in his way, which was not pretty the other day in round 1 of this tournament. So something to think on. But yeah, for now, Nanami is going to have to try and turn it around. But Nanami's turned it around once today as well. This is far from being done. I'm looking a little bit too far in the future.
No, he definitely can. And you're going to remember he has that 100% win rate versus Coffee in competitive matches. I mean, it's a single best of 3 from last year, but still. It's, Nanami's beat Coffee before 2-1 in the 2023 Winter Regionals. So, he's beat him before. He can look pretty good. I do think there's a few little adjustments, I guess, I'd like to see. Like I said, you really, if you're going to counterattack, you got to do it kind of early versus Coffee. Swing in when he's only halfway across the map with those Zealots and try to get right on top of the production if you can, but he had really good wall off. So outside of that, if those Zealots had come in from behind the army when he did stand and fight it at his 4th, could have been a different story. But I feel like if you commit something like 12, 14 Zealots to a counterattack, you don't want to be like, hey, I'm going to fight you at my 4th. It's like, hey, we're clearly giving the 4th base up, just looking to kind of bait some stims out. He's often overstimming Coffee, so the longer you protract these engagements, the better it is for you. And then bring those Zealots back if they can't get more damage, get the sandwich going, and that's when you can take him out. We finally got that lobby coming up now as well, so we will be able to get that next game underway momentarily.
Yes, just going to be Golden Aura, so in terms of a map, one of the bigger ones definitely is sizable. And we'll see what Coffee wants to do in terms of trying to pierce into the Protoss defense on this map, because I feel like it could be one of his tougher maps to do that on. As we get this ready to go, we're just missing an Nanami from the lobby. I think he's relogging. They do change. I guess they play the same server actually for the entirety of this series, so never mind that. Yeah, we're literally just waiting for Nanami to log back in, and we will be good to go. So get back on track here. More SC2 still in today's ESL SC2 Masters Spring Regionals. And yeah, second last day of Asia. Asia actually wraps up tomorrow, which is always crazy to me when we kind of get around to the point where we're actually wrapping up regions already. I'm like, wait, what? When did that happen? So
the 300 players in Europe will take a while longer to finish, though. Yeah,
one more
Europe
week.
Always takes a bit longer, as does America's.
Yeah, well, America just took a week off. They're just not playing this week, so they ain't that long. They just decided to take some chill time. So yeah, America starts next week as well. They got a little bit of a pause. So next week it's all about EU finishing up and America's finishing.
Well, the ESL admins, actually, they were big Team Liquid enthusiasts, so they've been on the forums and kind of just discussing how Americans are just lazier than Koreans, and that's why they're bad since 2010. So, they basically set up the schedule to make sure those players didn't get too tired. Like, you guys need a little rest. No worries, it's okay. Have a little nap time for a week.
Whoa, some of you guys played
over here.
Some of you guys played 3 best of 3s over the last 2 weeks. We got you guys. You guys take a break.
We'll help you out. We don't want those exhausting schedules for you. It's okay, guys.
Good guy, ESL admins. Well,
I'm kind of sad I don't get to cast any Americas, actually. That's my one sadness. I'm really happy I get to cast a bunch of EU games with you, though, since I've never really had a chance to do that for the regionals.
Yeah, you've been stuck in the Asia regions. I was going to say the problem with America's for you, Pig, is it would literally go until like 8 a.m. in the morning for you, so It's
yeah, if we did like split shifts, it would not be bad because I'm like, oh, I just get up a couple hours early, no worries, that's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, the America's days, they run very, very late. So let's get in here, man.
They do, they do. We are ready for the next game. Took a little while to get going, but we are set to rumble. In the bottom right-hand corner is going to be the Blue Protoss player who is down a game in the series right now. Looking to bring it back. It is Nanami.
Facing off against in the top left side of the map, it's Coffee. I once again want to iterate that Storm, I think, kind of counters pretty much every Coffee build we've seen. He never goes quick ghosts. He's always very committed to a very marine tank heavy push. Storm, Zealot has always been amazing at stopping those, or at least slowing them down. So I really feel like that's one thing we're missing here that I'd love to see how it plays out, because I'm sure the players have tried it. Coffee's got an answer to it. That's why they're not doing it, you know? It's easy for me to go, just make Storm, you know, from the sidelines, but there's a meta that evolves between these players. So I really want to find out why we're not seeing any Storm, except in games where players are already dead. You know, players trying to make comebacks like Nice did versus Oliveira with Storm, but he was already so far behind. I think it's very powerful. I also think Second Forge is very low priority against Coffee. I think Second Forge is so unimportant because like we've seen, his late game is not his forte. He was in a really good spot in that game one earlier today, and then he dropped the ball from there. So I think it's just like get more splash, get more area effect damage, get more units, whether it's Zealots for counterattacks, Disruptors, Storm, Colossus. If you can just have more stuff out and really fight him in the middle of the map a little bit more. The problem players are having is they never have enough units to really properly slow the tank push down, and they're having to fight before they're ready. So I don't think a Second Forge and a +1 armor upgrade, even if it kicks in time, changes that equation. So against a very committed player, I think there just has to be slightly more focus on the immediacy of getting your army power and your splash damage up.
That's a great set of analysis to kind of look towards how you might just take him on. And he's clearly tricky. A lot of people have given it a go. And the thing is, this is not just like a new thing Coffee's doing. It's like, this is how Coffee's always played. So it's not like these guys are like, wait, whoa, what's Coffee doing this season? They've been here before. We've seen it many a time. The problem is we still have not seen, you know, answers figured out for it directly every time. So it's definitely been a thorn in their sides as of late. As you just see the Twilight Council building as Nanami sets up for essentially that blink play once again. And Coffee just very safe. CC high ground, not taking any risks, making this safe, and also making this difficult for his opponent to scout early on.
Tricky openings always, they abound. I'm going to go for the quick starport, none of that second and third barracks business. Now, we often see this lead into the early Mine Drop Liberator Tank Marine combo. I think it's a good choice on this map. I believe we saw him do it yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out again. Ooh, standing and fighting from Nanami, a bit of a silly choice, costs him.
Yep, just going to lose out there unnecessarily as the CC is going to get placed onto the low ground, and now the Hellion free to rumble across to the other side of the map. And he's just going to want to run in. Obviously, try and get some scout information. That's the main portion of this Hellion's job. But also, if we can get a probe or two, that would be lovely as well.
Scouty, gonna drive in. Sees a shield battery. That's a very early battery. That's fascinating. This is something I've seen when players play against Coffee. They get more and more paranoid as time goes on. But the thing is, he did see a command center. So I feel like that's, I guess, just in case there's an early cyclone, right? Having lost an adept, yeah, I guess you kind of need it. If there is a cyclone, one Stalker is so vulnerable right now, so fair enough. You know what? I don't mind it. You're taking a greedy third base, why not?
Raven comes through. The Hellion is still spawning. We see the third base, so you do get more information with that Hellion, so there's a good reason you did not just dive by into the main earlier. As, yeah, Matrix coming up. We've seen Coffee introduce this a couple of times here and there throughout the course of the event. A couple of players have been doing it. It's definitely not the most flavorful kind of taste of the month, but some players have been enjoying this Raven now and again. It is a good mix-up, right? And especially if you try and kind of play that Colossus-based defense, there can be some very brutal openings where that Colossus gets matrixed, and then you're just really missing the splash to turn the Terran player away and put you into a lot of trouble sometimes.
Other situations where the force fields land, you pull back, you know, wears off, and it doesn't do that much, but really depends on the execution of both sides, right? So I love it as a spell to mix in. I think it's a good idea here for Coffee to add that. The only fear I have is that Coffee's style looks much more standard. So I'd like him to play what I call YOLO Coffee. Like normally he's so frontal timing attack focused with the tanks, but when he plays a non-tank style, I think Coffee's at his best when just half of his army drops in the main, the other half stims in the third, and then like a Liberator or a Raven queues up in the natural as well. And then he just keeps doing moves like that, like just crazy. It absolutely doesn't care about, you know, taking any risks, just goes for broke every single time. This Observer is desperately trying to escape. He's gonna have to go auto turret if he wants to confirm the kill.
Yeah, Observer is just going to get away, so Coffee decides to just let that live. So letting the information stay on the map. Interesting choice, because usually, you know, everyone's all about denying that info and stopping the Protoss from seeing what's happening when the move out comes. Maybe Coffee just says, you know what, I want as much energy on this Raven as possible for the time I go across the map. So if I have more energy, I feel like I can get more utility out of my Raven on the attacks, and we can go from there. As we do have this. Hellion is back. Man, we've seen Coffee a couple times today coming back in with a Hellion from an earlier stage of the game, and this is going to get a couple of probes. There's still one in the mineral line that's hurting. He'll run into the main base, just extend the chaos for longer more than anything else, and can't really complain about that, as he is still going to go for maybe... No, just not quite. The Warpin was good enough, but that's a bunch of Warpins at home, and its attention there as the bio starts to move out. These Stalkers have to start counting. It's time for Nanami to crank up the unit production. He does have 3 extra gates to do that with. If he doesn't do it, he'd be in a lot of trouble here, but he's looking okay for now.
Coffee forgot concussive shells again. That's unfortunate. It's very important with these Marauder Marine bio pushes. The Marauders stim forward. They do manage to get a Stalker, and barely that red hit point Marauder survives to heal up. Nice move there for Coffee. He's going to go to the right, but there's an Observer that should see it. Auto turret in the back distracting. Going towards that main base right now. Oh, the Stalkers are a little too slow to react. Oh, Nanami! He's hesitating. He went to the back, then the front, then the back, then the front. He finally goes back towards the main base to defend in the rear, but only with a bit of hesitation. His Prism goes down. Coffee gets another auto turret in the natural, and he's already trading fantastically. 2-to-1 cost efficiency, and he's going for the 5 racks behind it. Mass bio stim on the way. He'll add a 3rd command center, but it's a backup plan. His main plan is swing in with the bio, keep on doing moves like this over and over again.
Yep, it's just going to be all about the aggression as that Robobay comes in from Nanami. So he gets that tech set up, the +1 attack coming through, a few more probes in production. The assimilator still coming as well, so we got that assimilator building. And the bio is still setting around the right side as Hallucination is also going to go on the move a little bit. Bio will knock down one pylon, Nanami just going to be losing out on that. And again, a couple of libs still coming through, Marauders as well, +1 armor on the way. And, well, just a bit of everything. All on the way out. That Robobay also about to finish here from Nanami.
Oh, it's a lot of mines, a lot of Marauders. The Zealot heavy army is going to scale very badly. He needs those Colossus desperately. 3 probes go down, 4 probes to that auto turret, dude. That Raven is just out of this world. It's up to 10 kills so far, not to mention the mining time and the distraction, and it's still alive. It's going to keep stacking that damage up. Stalker Sentry Zealot, not a very long-term army. It feels like Coffee's got the army advantage right now. Good force fields might be the difference maker, though. Oh, battery there is nice as well. Could sacrifice a few of these Zealots. He's using Blink Micro to bait out 1 or 2 of the Widowmine shots. He's got to be careful. Oh, geez, those Widowmines are scary. That
super battery pops pretty early here. We're going to do a successful bait on one of the mines. Just going to come over to the side, knock down a pylon while we can. Here are the Liberators to emphasize this setup, to emphasize this siege. We're going to just shove forwards because right now we have just finished up on that super battery. However, Colossus is in here. We kill off these Zealots before they eat the Widowmine shots. The Widowmines just keep retargeting. My goodness.
Yeah, that was manual retargeting from Coffee. That was so sick. He kept retargeting the mine because Nanami was like, oh, if I split my Zealots up, let the Widowmines fire, then the Zealots can fight. But he just wouldn't let them fire. And the interference matrix comes in. The Raven that's been a thorn in his side all game long keeps on doing the work. Widowmine splashes a massive butt. It's a lot of Zealot Stalker. Can they overwhelm? The answer is no. Coffee. There's, what was that? I can only do tank pushes? Oh yeah? Oh yeah? I can do everything. I am a beast at all stages of the game. Coffee is looking so damn good today. It's like he woke up on the right side of the bed. It's like he had a big, hot, steaming pot of coffee before he started playing. It is a different version of Coffee today that has woken up, and he chose violence.
He did indeed. That is going to get the GG out of his opponent, and he is going to take himself to a 2-0 lead. Looking good once more over the course of this one. Just, again, a different way of coming with the attack. It's so hard to play against him when every single time you go into game, it's something just a little bit different again and again and again. It's frustrating for his opponents because you feel as though you figure out one thing, or maybe you're like, oh, I'll tweak this, but then it's never the same thing twice. So your little tweaks kind of you learn throughout the course of a series don't add up to anything. You've got to be ready ahead of time. You've got to figure out, you've got to know what you're going to do before the series starts because, yeah, Coffee does not let you, like I say, piece together the puzzle as time passes by. We are going to dive into Crimson Court for Game 3. Nanami, he's been down 0-2 once today, brought it back to a 3-2 victory. Can he do it here against Coffee? Because Coffee's builds just seem to be kind of whacking him, man.
I feel like you almost want to gamble a bit against Coffee, but when you're down 0-2, you don't have that luxury anymore. Like, what I mean by that is more often than not, it is one of the faster two-base pushes, right? Somewhere between 5 minutes 30 and 6.5 minutes, right? It's a lot of very fast pushes he does. Like, there's the no-stim, concussive, combat shield, Marauder tank marine push. It's about 5 minutes. There's the stim shields, no medevacs, about 535, 540. It's got a few at about 6.5 minutes. He's got this range. That's most common. And I feel like if you do, like I said, maybe two-base Storm Zealot opening, yeah, it's not going to do great when he does, you know, some builds. But I think it's still okay versus like his more standard macro builds. I think it's still an okay build, and I think it kind of counters those ones. But the third base, it's very doable. We saw Cyan show that you can get ahead versus Coffee, but your opening needs to be so crisp. And defending from there, rest on a knife's edge. It's all going to come down to this one for the Protoss player. He's in the top right side of the map. He's down 0-2. It's now or never. It's Nanami.
Bottom left, the red Terran player, not Protoss. He played Protoss at one point in this tournament, not that wrong. A red Terran player is Coffee.
Coffee is looking monstrous. I remember even when seasons where Coffee just did not do well and kind of got stomped, I always looked at the way he did these different pushes and I always was like, oh god, that's impressive. Like, this is actually a thing. I don't know if you do this at all, Wardy, but I often learn builds from the guys who kind of lose pretty early in tournaments. Like, if I see a player doing a really neat timing attack in like the GSL qualifiers and just getting stomped by like Maru or something, I'll copy that build and I'll go, hey, they tried it for a reason. I bet this works on ladder at 6.4k or whatever their MMR is, you know? And I find it's often the builds that don't necessarily work every time in tournaments, but like there's something behind it. And I feel like Coffee's always been a master of these different pushes, and he's showing there that especially when he's got that confidence, that mental edge, he can transition back into the more standard play. But yeah, I don't know. There's always been a special flair to his aggressive play. I really like it.
That's unique. It's something that not a lot of people can replicate, and he does it in such a kind of scrappy way as well. That's really fun to watch, as we do just have a probe scouting up here. Just going to come check into the main for a couple of moments. We got the CC on the low ground from Coffee, so that gets underway as well. So all of that coming through. SCV and probe going to nibble. And we are going to see another depot coming down onto the mains. Just going to drop that into place. And yeah, that's Cybercore. It's going to be finished so we can see the tech from Nanami. He's been playing Blink thus far. We'll see if he wants to continue with it.
I wonder if, you know, it was this map earlier where we saw, remember, the Cyclone kill the Observer and then the tank push came across? Same spawns against Jaishi, right? So we might actually see Coffee go for that same build order, because this is the same opening, I'm pretty sure, so far. Obviously, it's a standard opening, but he doesn't open standard all that much, which is why I think it's interesting. You know, he doesn't do Reaper all that often, so looks like it's that style, but we'll see how it goes. Remember, he lost the Reaper, I think it was on the second round of scouting in that game.
The Adept tries to zone the Reaper here. He's going to force him high ground where the Adept is not going to commit to the shade away, but there's 2 Reaper spots, so we are good. That's why I counsel again. So Nanami still likes the idea of how he's setting up. Feels as though he can just make the adjustment a bit further down the line. Third CC comes in from Coffee again. What a set of curveballs he's thrown into this series, man. He is really making it difficult to have prepped for everything else that he's shown.
You know what I love as well is it looks exactly like that build I mentioned, because you're going to see just a few Marines and then a Cyclone, and he might even look to scan an Observer again, but it's hiding a completely different follow-up. So if Nanami was watching those games, he might see all this, expect one thing, and then get hit by something completely different.
Which is really the terrifying part of it. That's the whole problem with playing against the guy. Robot facility drops down as Nanami's tech continues. This Reaper is back into the main base. He is going to see a Chrono Boost in Twilight Council. He'll move around the back. The Robo's in the natural, which is what the Marines see, but these Marines are going to go for some probe kills as well. He actually starts to hit the Stalker. Wild.
I think he's microing the Reaper. I think that's why. Reaper adds a shot in there. The Stalker should survive. Would have been better going for the probes, but Cyclone's going to come in as well. Oh, good micro by Nanami. Nanami says, nah, mate, get out of here. Only loses one Stalker. Bit of mining time for 3 Marines, a Cyclone, and a Reaper. Great trade for Nanami. Finally getting his feet underneath him. Nanami is the player who likes to be getting absolutely destroyed in a series, and then he kind of wakes up and rubs his eyes and goes, oh, we're 0-2, and it's like a different part of his brain takes over, and he starts making that comeback.
It's like, oh, I'm a 0-2 Nanami now. When I play from behind, it's a different series. Yeah, that was a great trade. Just so many clutch moments. The Stalker being saved the first time really makes a big difference because that's extra damage on the Cyclone. And even then, he was very unlucky to actually lose one Stalker because it was only just going down with that final Cyclone shot. Click down finish. Colossus on the way with the Robobay coming up here across the 2 bases at the moment.
Third Nexus on the way. Mythical pro player unlocked. 0-2 Nanami. He's gearing up. It's like steroids. It injects some adrenaline into him. Gets him going here. Coffee playing the 3-base style. You know, he's had some really good moments. This time I don't think he's got the same lead he's had off of his other 3-base builds earlier today, right? And the Observer's even going to see everything. So much better situation for Nanami than a lot of these players have had. He's seen the 3rd command center, which is the most important thing. And going Colossus and probing up 3-base will be a very good setup for the Protoss. But hey, he spotted it. Coffee says, get out of here, you pervert.
Yeah, I guess that picked it very nicely. As you have the Robobay coming through, the Extended Thermal Lance is on the way in. Colossus is still producing. Let me just get ourselves against Impact +1 and Combat Shields from Coffee. He probably again has to take a different approach. You know, like you said, this is not the 3-base setup he's had earlier. He might actually just have to play way more normal of a game. I don't want to believe that about Coffee, but that might just be where it's at, where he doesn't have the timing window to really justify like a big, large push.
Indeed. Going for a tech lab on the factory again, which means I think we're just going to see that same building tanks and lib style. But remember, there's not going to be great upgrades with this. This style doesn't have the longevity. Like a lot of the time when it turns on 3-base, I think Protoss kind of gets stuck in this mindset of, oh god, he's going to be building a 4th, Ghost Academy, double upgrades, range libs will be on the way. I feel like with Coffee, range libs, if they ever hit, will be like 27 minutes into the game. Like it's not going to happen very fast. But he just likes to commit on 3-base. If he even takes the 3rd, usually prefers to just commit on 2-base. So I do think, you know, like I said earlier, skip the 2nd forge and that sort of stuff. Good pylon spotter gives him a few seconds to get ready, but oh god. Oh, I don't think he has recall available. 1 Colossus. Oh my god, it has a friend. Yeah, 2 Colossus is too scary there. A single Colossus you can dive on, but 2, those Marines will get melted.
Should always have a buddy. Buddies do help, as you see a Marine stimming into the main base as well, also just trying to figure out what's happening up here as we move through. The Stalker blinks in. That Marine is going to get picked off. Charge is about to finish. +1 attack is coming in. We just have 4 additional gateways building from Nanami as he gets settled across his 3 bases. Tanks upon tanks coming through from Coffee. That's all he's building right now as he cleans up the pylon on the right side. Just the drop over here, just going to back away. Obviously, the threat will keep Nanami split up, unless he can figure out that that drop is absolutely gone. Then he can rejoin his army, but maybe it's that split that you try and jump on and punish a little bit as Coffee. Maybe that's why he finds an opportunity. Just a handful of Marines here gain another pylon. These spawning pylons now being removed means that you have less vision, less information to move forwards and play the game with.
I like that Nanami's just sitting on 61 probes, building mass pylon, mass Zealot Archon Colossus, nothing else. Like Prism's coming out, but it's just, I'm going to mass units off 3-base. Because remember, Coffee didn't look great in that game 1 versus Jaishi, right? He was way ahead, and he just stopped building Marines. I don't think he's made concussive shields today. Oh, he made concussive shells! As I said, as I mentioned it, I was literally, it's like been 3 games he's forgotten it today. Yeah, he remembers it, but I think if you have a big army, you can fight in the middle of the map and buy time, and that's what you need. You need to buy time, even though Terran has bigger economy right now. I don't know if that's too worrisome, because it's Coffee punching you in the face. That's what's scary. And honestly, 70 workers is too many for a 3-base Terran. His main's half mined out. His 3rd's over mining. Zealot Archon Colossus timing is coming in. I don't know about committing into this, but maybe it'll work. Coffee up 20 army supply. One of the tanks goes down almost instantly, but the marine count is good, way better than he had in that game against Jaishi earlier. Tanks take out one Colossus, 2 Colossus fall at the same time, but a lot of the marines do go down. There's a tank on the left side as well, anchoring his position. Only one tank left. And that was very expensive. Nanami committing in there, trying to learn from that Jaishi game where he had success, but this was not the same situation. Much better macro this time around from Coffee, and a very different upgrade situation as well. Terran had the upgrade advantage, great tank siege up, really good position.
Absolutely everything there for Coffee, as he is just going to take the 3-0, sweep it up and put it under the rug. He is going to move to the top 3 of the tournament here, as he is going to get the 3-0 over Nanami, and it's